Coming up on the Ensemble PSG Podcast, we're talking all about PSG's upcoming match against Seattle Sounders in the Club World Cup. But first, a big thank you to everyone who has subscribed to Ensemble PSG on Substack. We could not do this without you, so we really appreciate your support. And as you know, this is an exciting time to be a PSG supporter. So if you're listening to this episode and you're not a current subscriber, I hope you consider signing up. We've got some great content for you to check out from football journalists and PSG supporters. I've got a new piece up about Gonzalo Ramos and his struggles at the Club World Cup. Subscribers, you will also get access to our Discord server. So to get started, it's easy. Just visit psgtalk.substack.com. All right, let's get back to the show because joining me today is Ari from Lobbing Scorchers. You can find him and all his great content on his YouTube channel. Just search Lobbing Scorchers and hit that subscribe button. On this episode, we get into the strengths of the Seattle Sounders, players who could cause PSG some issues, what to expect in terms of crowd attendance, and so much more. It was a great conversation. Ari provided a lot of fantastic insight, and you'll hear all of it right after our intro. All right, Ari, welcome in. We have Ari from Lobbing Scorchers. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great, Ed. Never really envisioned a scenario where I would be a guest on a PSG show. So a lot of novelty in this for me, and appreciate you having me.
As we say at PSG, you got to dream bigger, right? So here you are on the PSG podcast, Ari. But you've got Lobbing Scorchers. Tell me all about it. Where can people find you? Where can they read you? Where can they listen to you? Tell us everywhere you are.
Yeah, we put out our podcasts on all the audio platforms you could think of. And we also have a YouTube where we do a lot of live streams. There's clips from our podcasts in our live streams. And we cover the Seattle Sounders day in, day out. But we also do a lot of league-wide MLS coverage. I work for I'm on the editorial team for the MLS website. So I know too much about MLS. So we use the show to cover the Seattle Sounders, the team that Noah, my co-host, and I are both obsessed with. But we do a lot of MLS league-wide coverage as well. And I think the best place to find it, other than just anywhere you get your audio podcasts, is just our YouTube. If you search Lobbing Scorchers, you'll find us.
Perfect. Well, we'll have to say why there is no relegation promotion in MLS for another podcast. Let's try to stick to the Club World Cup, which is the group stage is coming to an end here. But I want to get your overall take on the Club World Cup. And specifically, your season is kind of midway through right now. So how is this tournament impacting the Sounders MLS season?
Well, we'll see how it affects them going forward in the second half of their league season. But it's been an interesting situation to be the MLS club in this group of death, because, being in a group with PSG and Atletico Madrid, that's a tall order on its own. But you throw Botafogo in there as well. I mean, they beat PSG. They just won the Copa Libertadores. So that's an elite South American team as well. So the way I've just kind of been trying to look at it is compete with dignity, acquit yourselves well, enjoy the experience. Some fans are wrapped up in the results of this. I'm trying not to be, because you got to deal with the reality of you're playing clubs with 100 million times your spending power, and in the case of this game against PSG, they're playing the literal best club in the world right now. So that's sort of how I'm looking at this tournament. And I think as far as how it's gone so far, they played Botafogo and they played Atletico, lost both games. But I would say I've been decently pleased with how the team has competed. The Botafogo game was quite competitive. It's a game that they feel like they could have taken a result at the end of it based on how that went. And then the Atletico game was 3-1, but there were stretches of that game that they didn't look out of their depth. They were competing out there. So I've been pleased myself with how they've competed and played in this tournament so far.
I mean, you haven't looked as bad as Auckland, so, and I would agree with you that Sounders have looked like they belong. Absolutely. The results maybe not have gone your way, but that's why they play the games. And I'll be honest with you. I'm a little nervous for Monday. Absolutely.
For me, like when this Sounders team is at its best, they're very good in possession. They're a team that can control games, control tempo, slice and dice you up. Like they've gotten pretty good at certain points over the years at actually beating teams that are in a low block because of how good and they are in possession, how technical they are. And then it's also a team that's very good at in transition when they're playing well. They can get out and counter. They're smart about when they pick their spots to do so, and they execute that well, and they score goals. That's a big way that they score goals. This season, they have not it's been sort of up and down. They haven't really found that form consistently. But when I think of just the Sounders' identity in general, that's what I think of. Rusnak is the centerpiece. Normally, Jordan Morris, U.S. international, is the starting number 9. He's injured for this tournament, hasn't played in either game. You've really felt his absence this season. The backup is an MLS journeyman by the name of Danny Musovski, which he actually was playing really well earlier this season. He had a stretch where he scored a goal in 5 straight games. He was one of the hottest number 9s in MLS. But like realistically, when you're going, I was laughing with a colleague the other day. We were laughing at the visual of a PSG scout watching Seattle film and being like, okay, Danny Musovski, all right, we gotta scouting him up. It's like a really random MLS journeyman striker who has been playing well for Seattle this year, to be fair. But it's like they've missed Jordan Morris is my point. But
hey, Moose has his moments. Don't sleep on Moose. Come on.
Moose is good. It's just like when we're talking about the Club World Cup, he's not like the guy that comes to mind as the who other teams should have to watch out for. But I think there's a few players that have the quality to compete in games like this, and have shown that in this tournament. Ryan Kent is one English winger who they got from Rangers his best years were for Rangers in the Scottish Premiership, and he was actually at Fenerbahce where he had a falling out with Jose Mourinho. They were able to get him on a free transfer. He looked incredible his first few games in Seattle, has slowed down since, but he's a very talented, very dynamic player that can compete in a scenario like this. But I think the true strength of this Seattle team is the double pivot in midfield of Christian Roldan and Obed Vargas. Christian Roldan has been a club legend, excellent player for Seattle for his entire career, which has been like 10 years now. He does everything for this team. He covers ground. He never stops running. He is an excellent ball winner. I think his best attribute is just how he wins possession and where he wins possession. And then you got Obed Vargas, who is currently the subject of a ton of transfer interest from overseas clubs. They are going to sell him to a European club for a lot of money. And so that double pivot in midfield, that's the engine of this team. That's what makes this team go. And if they have any chance of being competitive in a scenario like this, those are the two guys that are going to be at the heart of it, in my opinion.
We recorded for your show right before we started recording here, and I talked about that, PSG are going into this game needing to win, but do you think that for Sounders, who, make no mistake, they're kind of up against it, likely not going to advance to the knockout stage, but there is $2 million up for grabs, if I'm not mistaken. If they beat PSG, I think a group stage win is $2 million and a draw is $1 million. So you talked about kind of the haves and have-nots in world football and the teams in this Club World Cup. Does that $2 million, does that maybe bring in a player in the transfer window? So do you think the team is really going to be going for it, even if they can't advance?
I think there's that element of it. There's a lot of prize money on the line. But I think even outside of that, you're playing the best team in the world in a competitive situation where they need to win the game. It's not like a friendly or an exhibition. This is a real game. The weight of that opportunity, I think, is there for these guys, like regardless of the prize money. Like I fully expect them to be going as hard as they possibly can to win this game, because even if they don't advance, to be able, I think Botafogo, like those guys are going to be talking about that forever. That's the greatest win in the history of their club. If Seattle does manage to pull off a win in this game, which I'm not expecting at all, to be clear, but like just in a hypothetical scenario where that did happen, it would be a legendary, absolutely like iconic result for the club, and it would go down in history. Every player that is a part of it would go down in history and in club lore, regardless of whether they advance or not. So no, they're going to be trying to win this game. Like they've openly talked about how not just PSG, but in all of these games, they're going to be going as hard as they possibly can.
And PSG, again, as we talked about on your show, they're going to be going for this one. They need to win. I think that the lineup so far have been strong. I don't see any reason why PSG wouldn't put out a strong lineup on Monday against Sounders. Dembele probably isn't going to start due to injury, but yeah, I think if you're going to Lumen Field and you're wanting to watch this game, I think you're going to get a really good PSG team. Whether they're motivated or not, I don't know, but the players will be out there. The manager certainly wants to win this one, and so yeah, if Sounders can pull off the upset, which I'm not ruling out completely. After what I saw against Botafogo, I'm not ruling out any of these teams coming in and saying, you know what, PSG, you may be European champions, but we want it more. We want to humble you a little bit.
You get everyone's best shot when you win the UEFA Champions League and your PSG status right now. Everyone's gunning for you.
Absolutely, 100%. Let's talk about Sounders a little bit and the kind of the fan support that you have there. They're known for having one of the best atmospheres in MLS. They play in a NFL stadium and they regularly pack that thing. And so what do you expect in terms of attendance for this match on Monday? It's not at a great time, kind of middle of the day. It's on a Monday, but what do you think we're going to see here?
I kind of don't know what to expect because the timing is like it's noon on a Monday. So I think that right there, combined with the fact that it's not like PSG has a lot of fans in Seattle, a club that big in a city like Seattle, you're going to have big representation there. But as far as how many Sounders fans are going to show up, I really don't know. But I will say that the first two games were better attended than I expected, especially the Atletico one, which I thought might be a little lighter. Those games were like actually pretty packed. The atmosphere was great. So I don't know. Just based on timing, I would think that the attendance would probably be pretty light, but I was pleasantly surprised, I would say, at what it looked like in the first two games. So maybe there's going to be more than I anticipate.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but they laid down natural grass recently for this tournament. Is that right?
Yeah, they did just for this.
Nice. And is it going to stay for the rest of the MLS season? And is it going to go back to the turf? What's the plan there?
No, for my understanding, it's like just for this tournament, and then they're going to take it out and go back to the turf. It's a Seahawks thing.
Ah, okay. Well, for the World Cup next year, right? It should be
there. Yeah, they'll be putting down grass for that. And I was skeptical of that because they did that a few years ago for Copa America, and like Manchester United was also playing a friendly here or something, and they laid down grass for that, and it was one of the worst things I've ever seen. It was terrible, and like guys were slipping and sliding everywhere. It just didn't work. I thought that might be what happens again, but by all accounts, everything that all the players who have played on it said that it's playing like really well. So
well, that's good. So I was a little nervous when they announced that they were playing at Seattle. I just remember from the Seahawks, and I was like, oh, that's that turf. I don't know if I want the guys running on that. And so I'm glad that at least for this tournament they've changed that. I'm going to sneak a question in for you because we talked about it a little bit, and I want to kind of delve into it a little bit more. You know, from Seattle Sounders, MLS, mostly American soccer fan covering this league and all of that, I'm sure you do pay attention to the Champions League, and you probably hear about PSG here or there. I'm just curious, what is your overall impression of PSG?
My impression of PSG, which is based, I follow MLS obviously by far the most, to the point where I just don't have the bandwidth to follow European soccer all that closely. I like watching it, and I see the highlights, and I follow like the big storylines, big transfers, stuff like that. But I can't say that I know all that much about the nitty gritty. But my perception of PSG has always been a club that dominates France, but like couldn't quite dominate globally. That's basically how I think of it. Like they win Ligue 1, the French league every year, to the point where it's like, why even play the season? Just give it to PSG. But like the barometer of success has changed from that to like they need to be competing for and winning Champions League, something that it just felt like they could never quite do. Like they could never get to the status of a Real Madrid or a Barcelona or Bayern Munich. But now in the last year, my perception is that has changed because obviously they won UEFA Champions League, and now like they have earned the right to be in that tier, in that status of all of the elite like clubs that are in the argument for best club in the world. And I think right now, coming off UEFA Champions League, PSG has every right to say we are the best club in the world, and everyone else who we were once chasing are now have to come after us. So that's how I think of PSG.
And you know what's funny is for years, you're right, people would say, oh, you win Ligue 1, and they would say, well, the reason you can't win the Champions League is because your league doesn't prepare you, that it's too easy. And so then when you come up against a Bayern Munich, you don't know how to play, and it's too high of a level, and you can't go from 0 to 100. So that was always the storyline from other football fans and pretty reputable media members. That was always it. And now that's all gone away because it's not like PSG changed leagues and now they won the Champions League. So that kind of excuse has gone away. I also think the French league has gotten a little bit better. And this kind of ties into the next thing as we talk about trying to get Ligue 1 to be more popular. One thing is, PSG fans were stuck watching beIN Sports. When we want to watch the French league, that's the only place you could find it. And it's only on in certain broadcasters. It's hard to get to. We would love to be on a platform like Apple TV where MLS is. What do you like about Apple TV having the MLS there? And maybe what don't you like about it being there?
It's nice to have everything just consolidated in one spot. You don't have to like go hunting for any games, look up where anything is. You just log into your Apple account. Everything's right there. But by far and away, the greatest thing about it is just there's no blackouts. There's nothing that drives me crazier than like the fact that I can't watch a Mariners game because I have to be subscribed to a cable news channel, and I subscribe to like MLB TV, and those games are blacked out. I understand the reasoning behind it, but it's like extremely frustrating. It like there's just something about that drives me extra crazy. So the fact that I don't have to worry about that for MLS games is phenomenal.
Oh, I was wondering, sorry to jump in. I was just wondering, like, do our European listeners even know what a blackout is? Do they have those? I don't even know.
Exactly. It's stupid.
They probably have no idea. The other thing we talk about with Ligue 1 is how do we get it to be more popular with the marketing and things like that. One thing I've always kicked around is that they need to be innovative, kind of like Major League Soccer was in the early days. You remember probably that crazy penalty kick scenario that they would have where the players could run and the goalie could move. Maybe you don't want to go with that, but I would always like to see MLS and Ligue 1, some kind of crossover, some kind of like, could we play some games over here against you guys in the summer or have an MLS Ligue 1 kind of competition? Do you foresee anything in the future where these two leagues can maybe get together? Because MLS is seen as a developmental league and Ligue 1 is definitely seen as a developmental league over in Europe. So I don't know. Do you ever see these two leagues getting together and trying to think of some innovative way? Because I think both could help each other out.
It's an interesting parallel. I never really thought about it like that, but it seems like Ligue 1 is sort of similar to MLS in like the scope of Europe. And I never really thought of it specifically as a developmental league, but like, yeah, you're right. Like it's a similar vibe. As for like anything collaborative like that, I feel like with a league in Europe, it might like logistically be a challenge. But as for the idea of like of friendlies or kind of working together in some capacity like that, I think if there's any European league that would make sense for MLS to do something like that, a league like Ligue 1 would be it, more so than like one of the perceived like top leagues.
I definitely think there's something maybe in the future that they could do.
Well,
all right. Let's.
Lyon did have ownership stake in the women's team here for a while, but that didn't go that well, and now they don't. So
interesting.
But that is something that like clearly someone over there saw kind of something similar to what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's something there, and people smarter than me that need to figure this out. And if we can all get on Apple TV, that would be nice. Yeah, like you said, all in one place would be great. All right, let's get you out of here. Give me a score prediction, maybe even a lineup prediction. Start with that. Tell me who's going to start for Sounders, and then who's scoring. What is the end result going to be?
I mean, I think lineup-wise, they're going to put out as first-choice a lineup as they can with the knowledge that their best center back, Yaimar Gomez Andrade, and their best number 9, Jordan Morris, are both injured and out for this whole tournament, which it's just watching these first two games, it's unfortunate because especially in the Botafogo game, it's like the margins actually ended up pretty thin. So like having your best 9 and your best center back, and with the defensive errors they've made, of which there have been several over these two games, I think Yaimar's presence there would have helped with that. But aside from those two, I mean, you're looking at Rusnak starting at the number 10. I think you'll probably see Ryan Kent start this game. I think you'll probably see either Musovski, or sometimes they play Jesus Ferreira up top as well. You're going to see the Christian Roldan, Obed Vargas double pivot. And then the fullback situation is a little interesting. Nuhu, who is Seattle's usual starting left back, is in the doghouse right now. He made a very stupid foul in the Botafogo game that it was like not in the like related to the run of play. It was like the guy was talking trash to him and he pushed him and got a foul and a yellow card, and of course they score off the free kick. So he's in the doghouse, but he sat the last game. He didn't start the last game. I think maybe that was sufficient for his punishment, and he'll be back in this game, especially because he's openly stated that he wants to go to Ligue 1 his like whole career. So he's going to be dying to play in a game like this, and I think he probably will end up starting. And then at right back, you will either see Alex Roldan, Christian's brother, or Kalani Kosarienzi, who's up-and-comer at that position, who's kind of surprisingly broken in for minutes there this year. And then center back, Kim Ki-hee. Center back is tough right now. They're going to have John Bell probably starting unless Kim Ki-hee is back from injury. And then Jackson Reagan's their other starting center back, who's a very good player, but he's coming off an injury as well. So it's going to be as first choice as they can, but we'll see what that actually means. As for a score prediction, I mean, I got something like 4-0, 4-1. I have a hard time seeing much of a path here for the boys. It's just they're playing the best team in the world. So I would be, if I'm trying to predict it, like I am hard pressed to predict anything other than like a multi-goal PSG victory, probably by like 3 or 4 goals. But for me, like if that happens, I can live with that. You're playing the best team in the world, but you know, just do what you can out there, compete, like rise up to the moment, have sequences where you look good, like you look like you belong. And you know, if PSG's quality outguns you, which the vast likelihood is that's what's going to happen, it is what it is. I can live with that.
Hey, I mean, if Sounders lose 4-0, then you're just, you know, you compare yourself to Atletico Madrid. They lost 4-0, so that really isn't, when you think about it, that's not that bad.
Exactly. I was going to say, PSG can join the club of losing to Botafogo by 1 goal. That's Seattle Sounders did the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think we talked about it. PSG are going to go with a very strong lineup, but they're going to need to win this game. So I think, you know, if you're going to be at the game and other Sounders fans, you're going to see a pretty motivated PSG side. And as we saw against Botafogo, you know, Sounders, you put it together, steal an early goal. PSG are weak on set pieces. If you can steal a goal, sit back and frustrate them. PSG like to play fast down the wings. If you can just pack things in and slow them down and not really give them those crosses, you know, don't count Sounders out. I'm not predicting a win. I'm going 3-1 to PSG, but I think it's going to be a pretty good game. I think it's going to be entertaining and a good game. All right, remind everyone once again where they can listen to our conversation that we had earlier.
It'll be up on our YouTube. Just search Lobbing Scorchers on YouTube, or search on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. It'll be up there as well. But we've been pushing our YouTube for a while, so if anyone out there wants to look us up and drop us a YouTube sub, that would be phenomenal.
Definitely go and do that, and fantastic. Thanks so much for coming on the show, and best of luck on Monday and the rest of the season.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ed.